Click the links or not. I'm going to go camping in the mountains for a week, and the internet is spotty up there, and I don't think there's any cell phone coverage. There is a internet, I think, at the ranger station, but it's, I don't know what kind of power it's got, so who knows. Last time I was there, I was able to put peanuts on my head, and I had birds eating them off my head, and then I put them on my shoes while I was like sitting cross-legged, and the birds would come and eat them off my shoes. And there are plenty of coyotes, and I had one walk up to me like a pet dog, which was really creepy, so I'm going to try to film some of that stuff. Okay, just soak in this image. Count the number of superheroes, the male and female ratio, the POC to POL ratio, and count up all the titties that you don't see. Oh yeah, and count up the scowling, angry, bitter faces, because that's almost all of them. Before you call me racist, sexist, whatever, keep saying to yourself, this comic was canceled because it wasn't selling enough to be profitable. Sometimes the truth is uncomfortable. Mainstream comics are a diverse mess of asexual, titless lesbians. Too many women and too many people of color. Yes, I know how offensive that sounds. If that's offensive, you'd better click off now. Do comic companies want to sell products or to push colored characters of color? Yesterday I talked about women and fatties. Today I'm going to touch on the POCs that are on every page of these comics. People are not buying these characters. You use Black and Middle Eastern characters. If you want diverse characters, you're better off using Hispanics. Just hear me out before you burn me in effigy. Using Middle Eastern characters is insane. They are such a small percentage of the population. Why would you include them and not, say, Mexicans? Especially now with, well, I better skip that. I will say, look to see what people, the characters that people identify with and they want. Whatever doesn't sell, you just get rid of them. Yow. Every bald-headed guy over 50 kind of looks like Joe Rogan. All right, this is the cover. Fine, it's fine. And then this is the first interior page, which looks 10 times more exciting. Then you've got black characters. There are more of them as your potential audience, 13%, but I doubt that they are 13% of your customers. You'd have to ask your local comic book store what the number is. Maybe 5%, maybe not even that. Now, cover your ears if you're a snowflake, but the black customer will buy white characters. I don't think they're seeking out black characters in the numbers that you think. Now, the rest of your audience, Asian, Middle Eastern, Europeans, Latino, whatever, are less likely to buy black characters because for the simple reason they don't look like them. The customer can't identify with them. Everybody knows this. Even comic people know this. So why do they do it? Why do they force something on you that you don't want? Because they are godless commies. Commies are expert at ruining a good thing. They are known for it. They kill farmers, then they wonder why they starve. They also do weird long-term things, like they hire their friends in positions who don't know what they're doing, like in mining infrastructure or something. So the ore is bad. That makes the steel brittle or soft. So the entire infrastructure of the country starts failing down the line. Comic people have been pushing women and diversity for years. It's been a slow creep. The customer support has been getting soft, but the loser comics were subsidized by the better ones. They were taking a loss to push woke ideology. Why would a publicly traded company do that? Because they are commies. Or to be fair, some are vulture capitalists. They're Marxists. Whatever they have to do to push globalism, they will do. And they are basically sailboats to Twitter pressure. If they had a less diverse audience, people on Twitter who don't buy comics would complain. Don't listen to people who don't buy your product. Why do you think people read super chats? Don't hire people who want to push ideology over sales. Business is there to do business. Comicsgate is going to dance on the grave of these losers. Look at the difference between the two groups. Comicsgate is having fun because if you're a moderate or if you're right of center, you're allowed to have fun. You're allowed to say uncomfortable truths. You're allowed to make fun of people who are protected groups. as long as you know that you're making fun of everybody and that everyone has a chance to say their piece. It's all accepted. Most of these SJWs are miserable people. And some of them are pencils down, which I guess technically makes them more miserable because now they're not getting paid as much to push propaganda. The big names are just shuffled around, but you can't pay somebody for 4 books when they're only selling 3. The money just isn't there anymore. And the smaller guys are just getting fired. This is a zoomed in shot. Okay, to soak in this bottom panel from left to right. Women in the foreground, woman in the foreground, woman in the foreground, woman in the foreground, Diana in the background. So this is a zoomed in shot of the woman in profile. And she's a teenager or a young adult, whatever. If you remember high school, girls hit puberty at, 12, I think? Guys hit puberty about that a little bit. No, girls hit puberty even a little bit younger, but guys hit puberty about that. Some were late developers. Some girls were late developers too, but most girls, I think in the 8th grade, if I remember right, were getting boobs. They had hit puberty and they were adults, physiologically adults. It's just a straight up and down almost. And that's the other characters also. There's nothing there. I guess you tried for the hips, but anyway, there are smaller companies that these losers can go to, but they can't hire more people unless they sell more product. This isn't magical socialism where you can simply print more money. Some of these second string companies are even more woke than the big two. If I see Dark Knight, I know it's going to be just... If I see Dark Knight or Image or one of these others, and there's a little brown girl on the cover, I just practically start laughing already because I know it's going to be insane. I love reading cringe more than I love reading good comics, almost. They are small companies, and don't get me wrong, they could turn it all around by dropping the diversity and wokeness, but they won't. So a few of these guys are going to be leaving comics forever. Oh, Comic Skeet has got the last laugh on these idiots. Oh, sandwich boy. But I'm sure they'll crowdfund their own project, except that they can't, because when they work for the mainstream, they were subsidized. Customers on Kickstarter are not going to subsidize Andy, Corey, and the other idiots on their own projects. The other reason they have a hard time crowdfunding is because they're very unlikable. SJWs come across as smirking, smarmy yeast infections, even to their friends and followers. SJWs don't like other SJWs. Maybe you'll get a little support if you're young and pretty like Renfamous, but the other SJWs are in trouble. And I know some of you don't agree with my assessment of Renfamous's looks, but like you would kick her out of bed. Come on. Go take a look, and I shouldn't have said that, maybe. Go take a look when they do crowdfund, they get very, very soft support. Or even when they go on YouTube. Gail Simone has got 2,000 followers on YouTube. Most of them are Comicsgate, and probably 90% of them are trolls, because Gail is boring. A 46-year-old Karen is not going to be successful where personality or looks are important. You have to either be attractive, funny, or informative to be successful on social media. Thank God that I at least have my looks. Most SJWs are ugly, boring, and can only spew the party line. They're preaching to the choir who they hate and who hates them. SJWs not only don't like each other, they don't support each other. They are constantly being passive-aggressive to each other. If they smell blood in the water, they go into a frenzy, like obese, blue-haired sharks. Kate Leth was called a racist for 9 minutes on Instagram by an obese shark who, because of her skin color, had more oppression privilege. She wasn't able to prove anything, but in the court of public opinion, she doesn't need to. Another thing about the comics, they hire purse puppies, but they also make them characters in the comics. They endlessly praise each other. And in this comic, you had a weird dynamic between the adults and the kids. The adults were almost subservient to the kids. This isn't the dynamic that you would see 30 years ago. And if I was pulling the strings, I would say, look at comics pre-1990s. Make your stuff like that, or make it like Comicsgate. Use Lonestar, Jawbreakers, or Cyberfrog as your guidelines. Okay. Anything visually appealing in this panel? Nothing there, nothing there, nothing there. And, of course, she's lesbian, because why not? The older woman has to thank the younger one for whatever. Endlessly blowing smoke up each other's ass. Hey, who are the most interesting characters? These are the most badass looking characters. That is awesome. That is awesome. Gee, why didn't you make a comic book about them? That's Wonder Woman. Okay, the arms. Yeah, I've seen women more muscular than that. The fuck is that? Sorry. That's not a woman. That's a dude. Why? It's a lean dude. Okay, so what's Wonder Woman's deal? Is she seeing anyone? Gee, that's my aunt. Yeah, what's her deal? Is she seeing anyone? I can't wait to. I don't know if I don't know what it's supposed to be. Maybe Wonder Woman will come out as trans. Oh, look, you're punching out a white guy. Great. And then they do this hugging between guys. Too much of that. Too much of the hugging. Too much of besties, that kind of thing. Hugging between guys and guys is just keep it rare. Toxic masculinity. Women don't like to see this either. And there's too much millennial speak. They do this like. Everything's like. What the is that supposed to be a woman? It can be anything you want it to be. They can identify as anything you want it to be. Again, this got canceled. Next, spoilers. No, there's not going to be any next spoilers because it got canceled for low sales. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, guys, and I will see you when I get back from vacation.